Hi, I'm Jim Smith. This is the 1000. We're back with Dennis Young. Dennis, you got a pile of paper in your hands. I'd like to show the crowd, the viewing audience.
You were talking about access to information requests and freedom of information requests. This is one response to one request made of the Alberta government on High River. And these are all the scribe notes that were taken in the Emergency Operations Center in Edmonton about High River, just about High River. And I haven't been through them yet, of course. I'm only through the first 20 pages. And when I go through these, I'm looking for information that the federal government, the Complaints Commission for the RCMP and their report, I'm looking for information that contradicts what the interim report issued by the Commission says. And I'm also looking for information about the involvement of the provincial officials and provincial ministers, and whether they actually ordered the RCMP or looked the other way while the RCMP were kicking in hundreds and hundreds of doors in High River. So I believe that the provincial ministers were directly involved in the decisions that were made, and or looked the other way while these charter violations were occurring in High River. So it's very interesting. Most of the federal government don't send information in piles of documents like this anymore. They do send diskettes now with hundreds of pages of information, but they're on one diskette. So it's a little bit easier to search for what you're looking for in a diskette rather than one interesting fact about I've asked for all the 1,900 complaints that were issued and that were made by people, damage complaints that were made by the residents of High River at the RCMP office in High River. And there's over 1,900 complaints, damage complaints were made. It's odd that there was that many damage complaints made, claims made, but the RCMP Complaints Commission says there was only 754 doors kicked in. So we're trying to figure this out. So I know all the complaints were made on an electronic record. RCMP don't keep paper anymore. Everything is filed electronically. So I asked for the electronic records. The electronic records wouldn't provide them. They said, oh no, it's going to cost $3,150 for you to get those records. And I said, well, no, they're electronic. I said, you don't have to print them out. You don't have to copy them. There's no cost involved. You just copy them to a diskette, blank out what you don't want me to see, and provide them. So they said, no. So the information commissioner took the RCMP to court, and they took them to, and they said that you can't charge fees for something that's already electronic, and you can just copy on a diskette. And the judge ruled that the $3,150 fee that they had assessed me was not correct, and they weren't justified in doing so. Oddly enough, I just got a call last week from the investigator with the Information Commissioner's office, and she said the RCMP actually printed out 16 boxes of paper out of those electronic records. Rather than providing the electronic records, they actually printed out 16 boxes of information, and they said they can't provide these 16 boxes of information because they've got to go through them now. And like it's a game. It's so obvious it's a cover-up that they over 2 years, and they're still trying to cover up what actually happened in High River.
So if you went back to your beginnings in this, and you stacked all the paper, if it was all on paper up, would it fill a curling rink, you think?
No, it'd fill my office pretty much. There's thousands of pages. Some of them are on diskettes, so it's not a big. So everything is in 2 file boxes for me. But it's been the hardest job is going through it all, and using your mind and thinking, and knowing what you're looking for, and seeing the inconsistencies in the stories with what the RCMP have told the media and what they've written, and then knowing that what's in these documents contradicts what they've said. there's no question, on the 28th of June, 2013, the RCMP were lying about the number of guns that they seized, why they seized the guns. They said, oh, well, they were all unsecure. Well, we know they weren't unsecure. We have testimony from people that said their firearm safe was opened with a torch. Like, so these stories, these people aren't lying, okay? There's firearm safes were broken into. People had to sign declarations of non-disclosure before they could get their guns back. That's how, and that's wrong. Like, that's illegal. You can't do that. So, so people are scared. People are intimidated. That's why people haven't come forward, and that's why what I'm doing is so important, because you realize that the story that the RCMP have told us, and that the report, that the interim report that the Commission for Public Complaints have told us is wrong. And this has to be clarified. It has to be, the truth has to come out. The people of High River have to be told the truth, and then the RCMP have to apologize for what they did. And until the trust is rebuilt in High River, the next time there's a flood, the next time there's an emergency call, the people of High River will be reluctant to leave their homes in the care of the RCMP. And that's why before the next flood occurs, if people are even delay evacuation, people are going to die, or people are going to be injured that didn't need to be. And it's a dangerous situation that has developed in High River, and by extension to all communities in Canada, because when an emergency is declared and an evacuation is ordered, people can't be hesitating. They have to be leaving their homes. Otherwise, they're going to be, their family is going to be in danger.
That's great. Thanks. We'll be back with Dennis in another episode.
That's our episode for today. If you liked it, please like it and spread it around that way. Share it with all your friends. And you know, if you can help us out a little bit by supporting us, we'd really appreciate it. This is not a high budget project, but your support really keeps us going. Thanks.